That's Based with Caleb Salvatore is a comedic informative production, meaning it covers serious topics in a humorous manner. Some of the opinions expressed are satirical hyperbole, some are not. Some of the content may not be suitable for all listeners. If you're easily offended, tune out now. We don't want pussy bleeding little bitches consuming our content. I have dementia and pooped my pants while visiting the Pope.
Welcome to the That's Based midweek check-in episode. I am your host, as always, Caleb Salvatore. We're laughing our way through the end of days. We're reporting from somewhere underground, and we're brought to you by Outlaw Streamers, where you can head on over to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more. We're on Rumble, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and for the time being, YouTube. No idea how long that will last. We would much prefer, if you're going to consume our video content, that you would go over to Rumble, because we're not worried about getting banned from Rumble, and whereas YouTube, of course, we are. It'll be easier for you to catch up, so if we do get yeeted off of YouTube, I don't want you guys to think we just quit doing the show. No, we're on Rumble, so go over to Rumble, migrate over to Rumble if you're watching the video. If you're listening on audio, great, I love you. But we would prefer, and we do have it's probably over 90% of our video views are on Rumble, because YouTube just gets throttled to hell. So yeah, head over to Rumble if you're watching on YouTube. Links are in the descriptions as always. It's under the Outlaw Streamers Rumble page. We air at the exact same time. It's the exact same content. You're not going to miss anything. Rumble runs just as smoothly as YouTube. There's literally no reason not to do it. My goal is to have no YouTube viewers by the end of the year. No, I'm kidding. But no, we are on YouTube for the time being, so big shout out to everybody that watches us on there. We love you, no matter where you're watching us. Big shout out to our sponsors, also over at Blood of Tyrants. Head on over to www.drinkbloodofTyrants.com. Use the promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D, like the title of the show, on either their Liquid Freedom energy drink with 0 sugar, 0 calories, 0 carbs, and all natural ingredients, or their Red Merlot wine. Again, that's the code word BASED, B-A-S-E-D, like the title of the show. Going to save you 10% off your order at the checkout. All right, drinking coffee. It's early. I'm drinking coffee for this one. It is early. Saturday, we're going to be going over the Iowa caucuses. I'm hoping to have a guest on. I'm not 100% sure. I know he, thanks to the tundra, was up north and was doing a show, and his car froze. Like, the battery zapped. And not only did the battery zap, the hood of the car also froze shut. So he's literally stuck up there. I mean, if he has to be back in town for something by tomorrow anyway. So if he can't get his hood open to jump the battery, he's going to have to take a Greyhound bus back. It's not a good situation. Our thoughts and prayers are with him, of course. All right. So we got a lot to get into this week. We have got a lot to get into this week. First and foremost, we need to take a moment. Oh, and Mia, the red face of white supremacy, will be back Saturday as well. We need to take a moment of silence, though. A moment of silence, because my favorite presidential candidate has decided to bow out. Chris Christie has ended his campaign. Has ended his campaign to spend time with the ones he loves the most, which is the slider aisle at the Golden Corral. That's what he's doing there. No, so Chris Christie's bowed out. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Chris Christie, he was never going to win the Republican nomination. That was obvious. But there's rumor that he's been courted by the so-called No Labels Party. Now, the No Labels Party is kind of a moderate group of establishment Republicans and Democrats. Think the Joe Manchins of the world, John McCain before he died, Liz Cheney, those types. The No Labels Party, they've considered running Joe Manchin as a presidential candidate, but there's rumor coming out that Chris Christie has now been courted by this so-called No Labels Party. That could get interesting, because I feel like a guy like Joe Manchin would siphon votes away from Joe Biden, right? Chris Christie, I don't know. I think it could be 50-50, because I don't think there's a ton of there aren't a lot of Trump voters or would-be Trump voters that would vote that would even consider voting for Chris Christie. But there's enough moderate Republicans that are going to swallow their pride and vote for Trump because they can't stand Biden that might turn over to Chris Christie. So that might actually negatively affect Trump more than Biden. So who the No Labels Party nominates is going to be interesting. We're going to need to follow that pretty closely. They're not going to win. There's absolutely no chance they can win. But it'll be very interesting to see who they nominate because that could very well be what tips the scale in this election. Just something to keep your mind or keep your eye on there going forward. All right. What do we have next here? We got a lot of stuff to get into this week. So the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was out on a medical leave. Turned out he had prostate cancer. And Joe Biden, while this guy was on medical leave, had no idea. Joe Biden, the man who's supposedly running the country, had no idea that the Secretary of Defense, mind you, while we're basically free-falling into war with Russia, we've got all this stuff going on in the Middle East with Israel and Palestine and now the Yemen and Houthis crisis, which is a whole other thing we'll get into in a little bit here. We've got this entire thing going on there, and Joe Biden, the commander-in-chief, head of the armed forces, has no idea that the fucking defense secretary has been out for several days on medical leave. What kind of clown show operation are they running? Remember when they took over and they said, hey, the adults are back in charge. Trump is gone. Trump was running a clown show. We're back, baby. It's time to get back to business. Build back better. Well, this is how you build back better. No communication. I mean, if a CEO were as incompetent as Joe Biden, I mean, one of your top advisors as CEO, say the CFO or your head legal guy, was out for like over a week, and the CEO of the company just didn't know, the shareholders would kick his ass off the board. Government is the only job, it's the only industry where you have absolutely no accountability for your actions. You can be as bad as you possibly, that and referees are another one. You can suck as much as you want at your job, and there's nothing that'll happen to you. Nothing. If you lose the election, you just rig it, right? So if they're and they withheld this information from the American people too. So if they're withholding this from the American people, what else are they lying to us about? They can't be straight with us about the defense secretary's health. What else are they hiding from us? Who knows? It's completely up in the air. All right, next up here, this is a video from the White House here. We've got the pro-Palestine protesters, which we've covered pretty extensively. There's a lot of retards in that group. The pro-Palestine protesters decided to siege the White House, lay siege to it. Go ahead and check this out. Down. There you go. All right. I mean, yeah, they do, but that's not new. So here's my question. Is that insurrection? Because I was told whenever a mob ascends on a government building where politicians happen to do their job at, that's insurrection. Where's the media campaign? Why is it only insurrection when a couple of boomers take an unguided, sometimes in some cases guided tour by the Capitol Police, mind you, tour of the Capitol? Why is that the only insurrection? Yet, I mean, we've seen this time and time again. The left loves to take over state capitol buildings or national buildings, as you saw right there. They took over the federal capitol building. The pro-Palestine protesters did about a month ago. We played it on this show. We've got the LGBTQ BLT 4K HD TV _! Plus asterisk community hijacking countless amounts of state capitol buildings. When they banned trans surgeries for kids. We've got the anti-gun movement that, by the way, was led by 2 state senators in Tennessee after that shooting. The anti-gun movement goes and takes over an entire state capitol building, led by 2 senators, interrupts the democratic process. Not a word from the media. It's different emphasis on the letter D. That's a very common theme in today's mainstream media. Different emphasis on the letter D when they do it. It's only insurrection when it comes from the people that you're actively trying to demonize in the media. See, Biden's not pro-Palestine. He's not. He's not pro-Palestine. The problem is, that's his base. He can't demonize them as treasonous insurrectionists that are trying to destroy our democracy from within. He can't do that because that's his base. And while not all of them are going to turn on him, if he turns his back on those people out there, the far leftists that were still going to swallow their pride and vote for him are going to say, fuck you, and they're going to stay home. They're going to vote for Jill Stein, for Cornel, somebody. So he knows he can't cross that line. He knows he can't label those people that are doing probably worse than what most of the January 6 people did. He can't label those people as terrorists and insurrectionists because that's going to hurt his bottom line. So he can't do that. He's got a problem, though. He's got a real problem. You've got people, hundreds of people, outside of the White House laying siege to the gates. They had to evacuate, chanting, fuck Joe Biden. Those aren't Republicans doing that. Those aren't conservatives. That's your base in the Democratic Party. And whether you like it or not, that's the reality, is every political party. I'm usually been on the outside, but I know enough people on the insides of every political party for that I can tell you this with 100% certainty. Every political party tries to paint itself as more moderate than it is. The reality is the ones doing the volunteer work, the ones doing the activism, the ones working for the politicians that are either elected or trying to get elected are the radicals. That is your base. You cannot turn on your base. Joe Biden has got a serious problem here because his base is really fucking mad at him. The average boomer leftist that just is going to eat up whatever garbage he feeds, they're not going nowhere. But those people, the Marxists, those are who got him elected in 2020. Make no mistake. They played a major role getting him elected in 2020. It's not the sole reason, but they played a big role. Make no mistake there. Do you think Donald Trump's worried about losing the extreme faction of the right? Of course not. Joe Biden has a serious credibility problem with the hard left, though, and that could very well come to bite him in the ass, because those people did. They hated Trump so much, they bit their tongue and voted for a guy in Joe Biden that basically stood against everything they supported. The guy that drafted the crime bill that's led to all the problems we're dealing with right now. They bit their tongue and voted for this guy because they wanted Trump gone. Now he's pissed them off. And those people aren't like the moderate Democrats that might get annoyed about the economy but still vote blue no matter who. No, they'll either stay home or vote for a third party. And that's where he's going to start running into problems. And I'm just telling you, don't be surprised if he gets his ass kicked because they underestimated the support from his base. Think about it. Think about it. What cost Hillary Clinton in 2016? Why did Hillary Clinton lose? Because she underestimated her opponent, right? Hillary Clinton lost because people were not motivated to vote for her. They weren't. People were motivated to vote for Donald Trump. People were excited. There was very, very few people that were excited to get out and vote for Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump voters were enthusiastic. If you can motivate people, your base specifically, that's going to give you a hell of a lot better chance. Who do you know right now that's motivated to get out and vote for Biden? I guess I'll vote for him because I don't want another 4 years of Trump. How many people do you know that are motivated to get up and vote for Joe Biden? And then compare that to how many people you know that would die for Donald Trump. And I'm talking literally. There are people out there that would die for, and I'm not saying that's the move, but that's just the reality. There are people out there who would take a bullet for Donald Trump, and there are people that wouldn't even get out there to help Joe Biden to help Joe Biden walk across the street because he's 97 years old and can't do it by himself. He has dementia, he'd wander into traffic or some shit like that. So he's got a serious credibility problem with the folks on the left. All right, what do we have next here? Oh, yes, so the Houthis. The Houthis in Yemen, there's some serious problems going on over there. They struck a U.S. cargo ship with missiles after the U.S. launched a bombing campaign. against Yemen and the Houthis. Now, the U.S. has been funding a genocide in Yemen for a long time. These Palestinian protesters have never cried about that. They only cry about it when it's trendy and the media and celebrities tell them to be concerned. When there's a big social media campaign, that's what it takes to get these retards rolling. I digress. So, that started under Obama, the U.S. genocide in Yemen, by the way. You can look that up. It's an actual genocide. So, the Houthis in Yemen have started striking U.S. cargo ships. Now, the Houthis are Iran-backed, much like Palestine. Guys, Iran's trying to goad us into war. That's all there is to it. They're trying to goad us into war, just like Russia is. Mia's calling me. I should answer. Hello, hey, you're live on the air. We're recording. What's up?
I'll call back.
All right, I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Bye.
All right, love you. So, she just woke up. It's early. We're recording this early. Like I said, she's watching somebody's house for us, or she's watching a family member's house, so she's across town. Roads are horrible. It's not safe for people to be driving. So, Iran's trying to goad us into war here, because they know we're already weakened. Because this is what I told you guys this was going to happen when this Ukraine shit started. I told you. Immediately, this is what was going to happen, was our enemies were going to seize the opportunity, because we had all of our eggs in the Ukrainian basket on Russia. All of our resources, all of our ammunition, all of our equipment, all of our money was going to Ukraine, and we were bankrupting our own country in the process of doing it. We can't afford to go to war with China or Iran right now. Iran funded the attack in Palestine. Iran funded this attack on the U.S. cargo ships. You think that's the last one? I got oceanfront property in Iowa to sell you, and an 8-Carter Lake. This is going to continue to escalate because they know what they're doing. These people, they're evil, but they're not stupid. They're going to continue to goad us into war. Now, they're not hitting our allies. First, they started with Israel. They escalated it over there. It's a gradual escalation. Like when you're playing poker and you get pocket aces in the hand, you'll bet it up a little bit because you want to increase the pot, right? And then when they throw the flop down, the first 3 cards, another ace pops out. You'll throw a couple more bucks in there, but you don't want to go all in right away because you want to milk your opponent for as much as you can get. Everyone else at the table, you want to get as much money out of them as you can, so you don't throw all in right away. And then when the 4th card flops over, you'll bet a little bit more. And when the river comes down, maybe it was a 4th ace, maybe it wasn't, doesn't matter, but then you're going to start throwing money in. We're on card number 4. They just hit a cargo ship. They haven't. Card 5 is an attack on the mainland, and they're going to claim responsibility for it. The Iranian government on the U.S. mainland. That's the So brace yourselves, because they see what's going on. China and Iran both. They know that since we have so much invested in Ukraine and Russia, we can't fight them. We cannot fight a war with them. We just can't. Because if we go to war with Iran head-to-head, yeah, we'd win. But if we go to war with Iran, we're going to war with the whole Arab world. Are we ready to do that? Are we ready to go to war with Turkey? Are we ready to go to war with Iraq, sanctions or sections of Iraq, I guess? Are we ready to go to war with Yemen? Are we ready to go to war with all of these countries, with Azerbaijan, all of them? Lebanon, Palestine, Syria. How many countries are we going to go to war with? Because I'm telling you right now, the second we go to war with Iran and we get that split up, China's going to move on Taiwan. And Taiwan, it's going to sound brutal, Taiwan is more important to the well-being of the United States and the United States citizens. Yes, believe it or not, the U.S. government has that the primary responsibility is to protect the well-being of its citizens. Taiwan is much more essential to the well-being of the United States than Israel and Ukraine combined. And I know that's harsh, but that's the reality. And they're going to take it. And we're going to be so spread out, fighting in the Arab world and fighting in Europe, that we're not even going to see it coming. And when it comes, when they take Taiwan, they're going to have the opportunity to fortify it before we can do anything over there. And then we're staring down the barrel of 3 different wars on 3 different fronts. One with the Arab world, one with Russia, and one with China. Do you really think there's a positive outcome there that doesn't result in nuclear war? Think about that. What's the positive outcome of the United States going to war with 3 different superpowers. Because even if we say, hey, Zelensky, it's been real, we'll see you later, we're pulling all of our assets, that's going to take time. It's not a video game. We're not going to be able to take them out in 20 minutes. We have to pull the money and all the equipment and everything out of there. And then what'll happen is Russia will steamroll through Ukraine, and Russia will see that the United States and NATO are currently at war with China and the Arab world, and they'll say, you know what? Europe's weak. Let's take Poland. And then they'll steamroll through Europe. Then you got real problems. Because European countries are going to say, hold on. Sorry, U.S. I know we were helping you fight China over there, but we're getting attacked on the mainland. We got to go back home. We got to put everything we got back into Europe, and it'll be futile at that point because they'll be outmanned. Because Russia will have already done the damage, and they'll have stampeded through, and you'll be trying to take back your own country. You know, you'll have presidents and generals making decisions from a bunker 1,000 miles away because they've, of course, been evacuated. Then you're in real trouble. And it's all falling apart. And that's, isn't it crazy how all of this shit happened right after Joe Biden took office? They waited. Donald Trump was this madman that was going to start World War III. We've never been closer to World War III than we are right now. This is Cuban Missile Crisis level shit. A terrorist group funded by the Iranian government, which is an ally of Russia and China, just struck a U.S. cargo ship. They're cutting our supply line off. How do you win a war? You don't win a war with head-to-head combat, killing troops. I mean, that's an important part of it. You win a war by cutting off the supply line. We're at war right now, whether we like it or not. You think shit's expensive now? They're attacking one of the top supply lines in the world and cutting it off. It's not safe to travel there. They're going to have to find a different route that's going to take twice as long and cost twice as much money. Everything's going to get expensive again. They're starving out the populace. That's how they're winning a war with us. They're starving out the populace. They're sending drugs across the border. China is. This fentanyl comes from China. Everybody knows it. They're smuggling it through the U.S. border. They're killing our citizens from within. They're hitting our kids with propaganda on social media apps like TikTok. We are at a full-blown war with just short of actual violence. And we're not going to do anything about it. We're going to continue to get our asses kicked because we are everything that they worried we would be under Trump, which is a joke on the international scale. Nobody respects us. Nobody. They were worried that people didn't respect Donald Trump. No one respects Joe Biden. They may not have respected Trump, but they did fear him. That's the difference. You got to be at least one or the other, if not both. If you're not, no one respects Biden, and no one's afraid of a frail old man with dementia. I'm sorry. Who's probably a pedophile. No one's afraid of that guy. Biden does not strike fear into the hearts of his enemies. Trump was at least a wild card. Nobody did any of this shit under Trump. North Korea tried to get ballsy, and Trump put them in check on an international scale in front of everybody. And they caved like a bitch. Guess who's getting ballsy again? North Korea, saying that war against South Korea is inevitable. They're going to do it. They were awful quiet when Trump was president. Things weren't perfect. I'm not glorifying Kim Jong-un. But you had, how many presidents try to deal with North Korea diplomatically? In my lifetime, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden, all of them failed. Donald Trump, his unorthodox methods, you can call it what you want. Relations with North Korea, in my lifetime at least, have never been better than they were under Donald Trump. Because they knew they were dealing with someone who was a little unpredictable. And when you're dealing, just like in life, think about it. You're at the bar, and you're dealing with a guy who's a little unpredictable. He's a little twitchy. You don't really know what's going on here. He keeps looking off to the side. He's reaching in his pocket. You're going to get away from that guy. You're certainly not going to try to start a confrontation with him. And if he talks to you and wants to hang out with you, you're going to be kind and courteous to him because you don't want to piss him off. That's what we had under Trump. Putin didn't move on Ukraine. China didn't move on Taiwan. Palestine didn't make a serious move on Israel. Iran didn't make a serious move on U.S. cargo ships. All of that happened under Biden. You cannot tell me. One, you could call it a coincidence. 4 different occurrences, 4 different instances happened. You cannot tell me this is a coincidence. We are a joke on the international scale, and it's because we voted in this geriatric, dementia-ridden, stuttering retard. That's all there is to it. Nobody respects us, and nor should they. We're getting what we deserve. We have a guy that can't even walk up a flight of stairs and may or may not shit himself when he visits the Pope. Now, I understand that was a rumor that he shit himself at the Pope. But the fact that you could say the leader of the free world, the commander-in-chief of the largest military on earth, at least for now, shit himself while visiting the Pope, and even 15% of the population would believe it. While the other, and probably 50% went, I could see it happening. That's a problem. Say what you want about Trump, Obama, Bush, Clinton. Couldn't see any of those guys shitting themselves at the Pope. There's only one, and it's the guy we have right now, the geriatric in chief, Joe Biden. Call it what you want. All right. Next up, we have got the sentencing for Ray Epps. Ray Epps got his sentence. Yes, Ray Epps, the man who's on video saying, go to the Capitol. Go to the Capitol. That Ray Epps. Encouraging people to storm the Capitol building on January 6th, pushing down gates, things like that. Ray Epps got the quickest trial. It was done and over in 3 months. Mind you, most of the other January 6th protesters that were just kind of there during the so-called insurrection sat in jail for years with no bail and got twice this sentence. So Ray Epps got a $500 fine. Oh, my God. $500 fine. That is almost a tank of gas in Joe Biden's America. A 500, but that's not it. They really brought the hammer down on this guy, Ray Epps. They really did. $500 fine and 1 year probation. 1 year of probation. I don't know how this guy's going to live. I don't know how he's going to recover from this. This could be the most crippling indictment of our time. Not only, but there's more. But wait, there's more. Of course, no jail time. Not that, no. Not only did he get a year of probation, excuse me, mucusy backed up there. Not only did he get a year of probation, he also got, drum roll please, community service. I know you're thinking, Caleb, wait, I thought that cruel and unusual punishment was outlawed in the Bill of Rights. What's going on? Ray Epps, the one who's totally not a Fed or a federal asset, $500 fine, a year probation, community service. Owen Schroyer, for instance, by comparison, the radio host that never entered the Capitol building, was never caught on video encouraging people to go toward the Capitol building, 60 days in jail. Do with that what you will. Do with that what you will. But you're a conspiracy theorist if you believe Ray Epps is a federal asset. I don't think he was a Fed. He was an asset. I think he was compromised. You're a conspiracy theorist if you believe that. Ray Epps, right? So let's rehash this one more time because I'm tired of talking about it. Ray Epps on video saying, go to the Capitol, storm the Capitol, everyone go to the Capitol, just constantly encouraging people to go to the Capitol. He's seen on video busting down gates, breaching doors, you name it. He's the only member of the January 6th protest that the mainstream media has defended. Every single person that was present on January 6th has been labeled a traitor, an insurrectionist, a domestic terrorist, a right-wing extremist, a white supremacist, you name it, by the mainstream media and by the politicians in Washington and by the intelligence agencies. There's one man who has not had that media smear campaign against him. His name is Ray Epps. Not only has he not had that media smear campaign against him, they have written puff pieces about him. people like Adam Kinzinger and the intelligence agencies have gone out of their way to defend Ray Epps. He's the only one. But he's totally not a federal asset. You're the conspiracy theorist if you believe that. So we have the mainstream media, the intelligence agencies, and the establishment politicians defending this guy, Ray Epps, like he was their own child. And then we find out he gets a $500 fine, even though he's one of the only people caught on video saying, go to the Capitol, storm the Capitol. Not a Fed, though. You're a conspiracy theorist if you think he is. Fucking ridiculous. All right, next up. What do we got here? Next up, we have got, so Mark Cuban got into a little bit of a spout about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion with Elon Musk on Twitter. So Mark Cuban is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. He's been on Shark Tank, things like that. He got called out for his DEI practices. If you don't know what DEI, we kind of covered it about the Boeing thing. The DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, is where they will intentionally hire less people like me, straight white men, and more people like my wife, Native American women. Sometimes that might work out to her advantage, but that's okay. So Mark Cuban got called out for this. There was a bit of a spout on Twitter he had with Ashley St. Clair, and I'll just read it for you. This is about a week old, but we haven't had time to get into it. We've had so much stuff going on, so we'll just go over here. So she says, we hire based on qualifications, integrity, and obviously a sense of humor, being a satire company. Your application of your version of DEI would be great if that's how it was applied universally, but unfortunately it's not. The reality of mandatory DEI at scale is discrimination based on race, gender, and heritage, which is true. Mark Cuban said, I'll go back to the original tweet. How about that? Let me help you and give you my thoughts on DEI. Diversity. Good businesses look where others don't. Define the employees that will put your business in the best possible position to succeed. You may not agree, but I take it as a given that there are people of various races, ethnicity, orientation, etc., that are regularly excluded from hiring consideration. By extending our hiring search to include them, we can find people that are more qualified. The loss of DEI-phobic companies is my gain. Okay, so when I see that, what this tells me immediately is Mark Cuban would not hire somebody that was a minority, because he's the owner of this company. He can't pass the buck on to somebody else. He wouldn't hire somebody for his company that wasn't a straight white male unless his HR forces him to. That's what I get from that. Hey, I need DEI policies in place to keep me in check. What do you mean they'd be excluded from the search? People put everything into the application. It's all online now. What are you talking about? They'd be excluded from the search. You don't put your race on a job resume. What are you talking about? How would you exclude somebody from the search? That doesn't make any sense. The only way what he's saying makes any sense is if he would discriminate against people if it weren't for the policies in place by his HR department. That's the only way that makes sense. How else? So let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. How else does that make sense to you? It doesn't make any to me. I'll read it again. I take it as a given that there are people of various races, ethnicities, orientation, etc., that are regularly excluded from hiring consideration. How? How are they excluded, Mark? You submit the application and the resume online. If you see someone with the last name Lee, are you not hiring them because they're Asian? That's the only way that they would be excluded. Hey, Jaquarius applied. I'm not going to interview him. That's obviously a black guy. Oh, that guy's last name is Hernandez. Bye-bye. McDonald? No Irish here. Bye-bye, Mick. That's the only way that makes sense. Is that you would discriminate. You get the resume in and hire the most qualified person. How about that? I think that's the best way, is diversity of talent. Not how people look or what's between their legs. Diversity of talent. Here's another funny fact here. The Dallas Mavericks are consistently, year in and year out, the whitest team in the NBA. Do with that what you will. Do with that what you will. What's funny is he won't have DEI. They'll do the DEI for bitch jobs, right? Secretary, janitor, call center employee. And there's nothing wrong with any of those jobs, but let's be real. At the end of the day, whether or not the company's going to succeed doesn't depend on those people individually as much as it does, the CFO or the head of the accounting department or the head of the sales department. It just doesn't. So they'll hire people at low-level jobs, which honestly I think is more racist. I mean, I'll give you a call center job at minimum wage or just above minimum wage so that we can, fill our quota of black people working here. That's all that does. How about you just hire the most qualified people? I don't think that's unreasonable. I think the company will run best when you have a diversity of talent, not a diversity of appearance. That's my opinion. I mean, we have a great DEI program here at that space. We are 50% Native American women working for us. 50% Native American. Now, there's only 2 employees, me and my wife, but we are 50% Native American disabled women because she has epilepsy. So I would when Mark Cuban gets his DEI program at the same rate as that's based with Caleb Salvatore, we'll talk. Right now, I am running for my business here the single best DEI program in the country. I challenge you to find someone else who has hired a higher percentage of disabled women of color than me right here at That's Based with Caleb Salvatore. We are the most diverse workplace in the country. In the country. Challenge you to find somebody better than me at DEI. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So that's the thing with DEI is they'll hire people for jobs that are insignificant in the grand scheme of things. But let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks. Not only are they the whitest team, but DEI, would you hire a 5'3" Asian guy to play on your team? Would you sign a 5'3" Asian guy to play for the Dallas Mavericks? Of course you wouldn't. Because if he sucks, he's gonna get blown out. It's not his fault. He's 5'3". More often, there are very few Isaiah Thomases out there, right? Mugsby Bigums, not very many out there. So he's gonna get blown out. You're gonna get run out of the gym. It's gonna hurt your bottom line. You're not gonna sign someone like that. No, you'll just hire people for jobs that you don't think are important because you look down on us peons. That's how it goes, right? All right. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day, by the way. Okay, what do we got next here? Here we go. This is the last. We'll end it with this one here. Excuse me. We'll do 2 more actually. So here we go. Here's Joe Biden talking about the January 6th protesters. Fuck it, let's just play it.
One desperate act available to him: the violence of January the 6th. And since that day, more than 1,200 people have been charged for their assault on the Capitol. Nearly 900 of them have been convicted or pled guilty. Collectively, to date, they have been sentenced to more than 840 years in prison.
So there you go. You have the President of the United States bragging about sentencing his opponents to 840 years in prison. Mind you, random outbursts like that are a typical sign of dementia. Inappropriate yelling fits like that, sign of dementia. Google it. I'm not a doctor, but it's true. So the President of the United States bragging about sentencing people, his political opponents, to over 800 years in prison. There we go. We're not a dictatorship, though. Trump was the dictator, right? Trump was the dictator. And yes, David Terrell Green's thing was down there. He was supposed to be with us today. Forgot to take it off. This is the U.S. Attorney, though, who gave us a little bit further context on just how far they're going to take the January 6th witch hunt. Go ahead.
What happened inside of the building? An important note when it comes to our prosecutions about those who remained outside the building. We have used our prosecutorial discretion to primarily focus on those who entered the building or those who engaged in violent or corrupt conduct on Capitol grounds. But if a person knowingly entered the restricted area without authorization, they had already committed a federal crime. Make no mistake, thousands of people occupied an area that they were not authorized to be present in the first place.
So there you go. Not only are they going to be going after the people that set foot inside the Capitol, they're going to go after people that were in Washington, D.C. for the protest but never set foot inside the Capitol. You can't tell me that this isn't the administration targeting its political opponents, trying to terrorize people. This is only the beginning. If these idiots get another 4 years, I mean, it's going to be open season on conservatives. Gina Carano will be right about feeling like a Jew in the 40s. Dude, we have never had a president or an administration that was closer to a dictatorship than we have right now. Joe Biden, well, his administration, is the closest thing to a fascist, communist, totalitarian government that this country has ever had, and it will take decades to undo the damage to our civil liberties and due process that these psychopaths have done. This has to end with them getting charged with crimes. That's where this has to go. This has to end with Joe Biden and the folks like him, like the guy you just saw, the U.S. attorney, getting charged with treason. Because that's exactly what this is, to target people that didn't even set foot inside of the Capitol, that were just at D.C. for a protest, which is legal. That's when we're marching toward totalitarian. Again, Joe Biden is everything they warned us Donald Trump would be. World War III, targeting political opponents by abusing the justice system. Everything they warned us Donald Trump would be. Economic collapse. Everything they told us he would be. That's been Joe Biden. And the media campaign hasn't helped. Look at this video of an MSNBC anchor crying like a little bitch.
I'm going to try to get through this.
Oh, no. He's going to try,
you
guys. Thank you.
For what you did 3 years ago today. Please tell me your thoughts on this third anniversary.
How many onions do you think he had to chop up to get like that? That was an MSNBC anchor talking to one of the Capitol Police officers. By the way, wasn't aware Adam 22 was a Capitol Police officer. Had no idea. Blew my mind to find that out. Crying on air. You're a grown man. You're a grown man who wasn't even there. If you are a grown man that wasn't even present, but the thought of January 6th can truly bring you to tears, go to fucking therapy. You're a basket case. You're a disgrace to men everywhere. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should feel bad about what a little bitch-made sissy you are. Crying. It just makes me so emotional. I know, it makes me so emotional. The peaceful protests were the only person the mostly peaceful protest, where the only person that got killed was one of the protesters. And they still haven't released the footage of it, right? It just makes me so emotional. He's crying like his dog just died. What a pussy. I have more respect for someone that cries because their team lost a football game than that loser. It just makes me so sad. Fuck you. What do we got next here? All right. The state of California. The state of California is looking, there's a bill in the legislature, they're looking to ban tackle football for kids. Because that's what they have to worry about. Don't ban shitting and shooting up heroin in the streets. Tackle football is your number one concern, California. I'm glad they're tackling no pun intended, tackling the important issues over in California. So, this is funny to me for a couple of reasons. Number one, well, no, this isn't even funny, this part. Sports help you grow up. They really do. Sports help you grow up. Especially team sports. They teach you how to deal with people. They teach you how to make friends. They teach you how to work together. There's lessons that I learned from playing football that I wouldn't have learned anywhere else that I still carry with me to this day. I remember we had a coach that would, no matter how cold it was, he wouldn't put on more layers than we were wearing. So it would be, and it got cold playing high school football in Nebraska. So, you're talking middle of November. It's 15 degrees outside. This guy's out there in shorts and a long sleeve shirt because that's really all the equivalent of what we could be wearing under our pads. And I respected that guy. And I learned right there that when you had a leader that was willing to suffer with his people, that was willing to suffer with the people underneath him, that was a leader worth going to war for. And that carries into business, that's carried into comedy, everything. This show, everything I've done. Another example, I had a coach tell us, if we are criticizing you because you made a mistake, don't get down on yourself. Because that means we care and we still see enough potential in you to continue to try to fix those issues. It's when you make a mistake and we stop saying something that you need to worry about. Dude, I carried that to every job I had. And I wouldn't have learned that if it wasn't for football. If you're not getting critiqued and coached when you make mistakes, and we're all human, so we're all going to make mistakes, it means one of two things. You have a bad leader that's checked out, or they've checked out on you specifically because they see you as a lost cause, and you better fix what you're doing so you don't get fired or start looking for a new job. And then fix your behavior going forward so that that doesn't happen again. That's what that always taught. I mean, you learn life lessons playing sports that you don't get anywhere else. That's just a couple examples. And they're trying to take that. Also, boys are going to play football. They're going to play football. I have a business meeting at 1. That's my just done. It just a ding right there. Cool. Anyway, boys are going to play football. That's the reality. They're going to tackle each other because that's what young boys, especially teenagers, they got testosterone flowing freely. They got to let that aggression out somewhere. You can either have these kids do it unsupervised without refs, without pads, and probably on a street where they're going to get seriously hurt, or you can have them do it in pads. What would you rather have? Kind of like the abortion argument that Californians love to talk about. Well, women are going to get abortions. Would you rather they do it in the back alley or at a clinic and be safe? Well, young boys are going to play football. Would you rather they do it at the park where they beat the shit out of each other and maybe somebody pulls a gun because testosterone's flowing and there's no referees to regulate the game, there's no rules, there's no clock, nothing like that? Or would you rather they do it in a regulated setting? It's up to you. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. It's entirely up to you. Also, mind you, this is California. This is the state that loves to cry about the trans kids issue. It's parental rights. Parents have rights. If they want to transition their kids, they can do it. It's not about parental rights. This is proof. You don't care about that. If you cared about parental rights, you'd let people sign their kids up for football. You can't. Last time I checked, you can't just sign up unless you got a parent's permission slip. If you gave two shits about parental rights, you'd let parents sign their kids up for football. But you aren't doing that because it's nothing to do with parental rights, and it's all about control. It's about accessing the youth and brainwashing them. It's about demasculating this society. And what better way to demasculate society than take away probably the sport with the most testosterone pumped through it, which is football. It's not a safety thing. They'll get the idiots on board. The suburban soccer moms and the boomer liberals that think they're do-gooder morons. You know, the same people that get on board with the gun control thing and everything else like that. They'll get them on board by selling it as a safety issue. It's nothing to do with safety. It's everything to do with control. It's everything to do with that communist state of California inflicting its will on its people, putting its foot just a little bit further on their throats. It's not about parental rights. You know, in California, if your kid wants to transition and you don't let them, CPS takes them from you. They don't give two shits about parental rights in California. There is no state that has taken a bigger shit on parental rights than the state of California in the last couple years, and this is proof of it. They're burning it down. These people are evil. Do not let Gavin Newsom anywhere near the White House. That man is a psychopath. All right, that's been our show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Shout out to our sponsors, Tactilian, the patriotic gear for the patriot in your life. For them, for their home, or their vehicle, their laptop, you name it. Go to tactilian.com, TACTILIAN.com. Use the promo code BASED like the title of the show. All the links are right down in the ticker or in the show notes if you're listening on audio. Tactilian.com, TACTILIAN.com, promo code BASED, BASED, like the title of the show. Going to save you 15% off your order at the checkout. Like I said, we will be reacting to the Iowa caucuses on the big show on Saturday. Probably not going to be much that's newsworthy. Maybe DeSantis will pull off the upset. I don't see it happening. We're taping this Monday, so we'll What else? Oh, follow my socials. Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram. X in Instagram. I got to start saying X. Caleb Salvatore Comedy on TikTok. Caleb Salvatore YouTube and Rumble. CalebSalvatoreComedy.com for all your merch and booking needs. We will see you folks on Saturday. Hopefully, I'll have my friend David Terrell Green back in town and we can do that. If not, I'll be flying solo again with Mia back on the control board, and you'll get to hear way more sound effects than you did this week. You know, sound effects like
kill your fucking selves!
Sound effects like that, or sound effects like my new personal favorite.
You fat piece of shit.
We'll see you guys on Saturday for the big show. Cheat on your taxes, not your spouse. And as always, stay based.